We're back. My PC felt like, hey, new driver, I'm going to force a restart, which, I mean, that kind of makes sense, but it would be very fucking nice if it asked me for that, because I had like a very good reason for it not to allow to do that. Anyway, here we are, back again. I guess we're just not playing Kingdom Hearts for any purposes today. What I am thinking is, I believe that Steam has built-in support for PS4 controllers. It will just like recognize the PS4 controller as a generic input device and be able to like live remap that into button prompts that it can understand. As far as I understand, that's what it does. And Kingdom Hearts, like last month, was finally released on Steam. The entire collection. So what I'll probably do is next week, I'll probably just buy the collection, or this week rather. I'll probably just buy the collection on Steam and play through Kingdom Hearts 2 at like a breakneck pace to like unlock the late game. And hey, maybe we'll even do that on stream. Maybe we'll even like just speed run through the entire thing on stream real quick. Like 1 or 2 streams, we'll go through it. And we'll also get a good feel for like the progression of everything. So I don't really want to turn this into like a I'm gaming live stream kind of channel, right? So I don't really want to like lean too hard into that. But I'll probably just buy it on Steam and see if that works instead. I wanted to just have an end game save file ready to go, jump in for like 10 minutes and call it a day. There's one more thing that I can try, is potentially maybe Kingdom Hearts 3. It's not a game that I wanted to test out, but potentially Kingdom Hearts 3, because it was developed in Unreal Engine. No, don't launch Kingdom Hearts, whatever. Did I also... Fuck. Did I also download Kingdom Hearts 3 is the question. Because if I did, I can check out whether or not that inherently like knows what to do with PS4 controllers or not. It probably doesn't, to be fair. Let's just close this the fuck down. Exit the game. Yes, please. It'll at least be better than not having any comparison. I don't have any other games installed on Steam that I can take a look at. Like Hollow Knight is the closest thing, but that's not really a good comparison, like at all. So let me try again. This time go to library. Yeah, I didn't install 3. I'm going to real quick do a Google search on Epic Game Store PS4 controller. Playing with PS4 controller on Epic solved. Just thought I'd share my findings in case anyone else is struggling. Epic doesn't support PS4 controllers out of the box. Why? Very fucking good question. It led me to add the game to my Steam list as a non-Steam game and run it through that. Through the game detected wasn't running on Steam. Okay, so add the Epic launcher as a non-Steam game and run that through Steam, then run Final Fantasy VII, in this case Kingdom Hearts, that allows PS4 controllers to work. Okay. That's clever. Let's try that. How do you do that again? Been a while since I've done anything like that. Probably in games. Add non-Steam game to my library. And can I then just like Epic Games Launcher? So if I launch the Epic Games Launcher through Steam, which is just wow, that feels like I don't know, that feels bad to do. So if I launch this through Steam, right? I need to close out of it first, presumably. Like properly close out of it. I also need to set it up in Steam, actually, I think. So PS4 controller, Steam. I think you need to set it up somewhere in settings, controller, general, controller settings, PS4 configuration supports. Okay, we'll do that. So that would be Steam settings. What did it say? Controller, general controller settings. That would be controller. General controller settings. It doesn't have a fucking submenu for that. Oh, placing controller support. Enable in games without support. Just enabled. It's just a thing that it can do. Enable Steam input for generic controllers. Let's say yes as well. Switch Pro controllers, just in case. Sure. Let's go with that. So now we launch the Epic Games Launcher through Steam, which again feels illegal. And then we launch Kingdom Hearts through that. Does that fix my issue? If it does, that is insane. Funny, but kind of insane. I mean, to be fair, I don't know how difficult it would be for Epic to implement this into their store. I feel like this is one of those things that people underestimate. But I feel like there's maybe like an argument to be made. Yeah, so this just doesn't work still. Okay. One last thing that I can think of is just trying to add Kingdom Hearts. That's going to be an issue actually, because launching, maybe I can launch Kingdom Hearts 2 directly. Let's see. Games, add non-Steam game. Kingdom doesn't even have. I can add Melody of Memory, but that's not the game I want to play. Not even a little bit. Games. Where did I install? I think on Unreal probably, yeah. So Kingdom Hearts. And through here I can directly launch Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, I believe. Yeah, so let's add that. So if I try to launch this directly through Steam. Okay, it doesn't like me directly launching one of the games. I probably have to launch them through the collection executable, which is kind of bullshit. Yeah, so the Kingdom Hearts collection is actually just a bunch of separate executables that get executed through choosing in like this overarching menu, which is an executable in and of itself. But for some reason, it doesn't like you directly launching those other executables. It might also just not like this, because this seems unreasonably slow for a loading screen that literally just like loads in a couple of buttons. Yeah, this doesn't feel good. I feel like we're going to be here for a while if I wait for this. hold on. This is called Wait Title Project. So maybe this actually only launches the waiting screen. Who the fuck developed this? Yeah, so I'll show you, right? If you go to the install directory here, you have all of these different exe files for all the different games. So Birth by Sleep and Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 2 and Chain of Memories, and then we've got a theater as well. And now we've got this wait title project.exe, and that is just the loading screen. If you click this, you just open the fucking loading screen. What are we doing? We're being mad at Windows. And Square. And Steam. Maybe. I don't know who we're mad at. I'm mad at the person who thought this was a good way to like make this happen. So I guess what we want to do is we want to open this launcher through Steam so that it has fucking PlayStation controller support. That's the thing that I'm trying to get working. Yeah, so when I try to run this through Steam, it just like doesn't fucking open. Maybe it opens second time. Just doesn't open. Straight up just doesn't want to open. Okay. I got one more executable to try. Because we also have this, which logically seemed like it should be the same as this. But maybe this calls that, which calls that, which calls the rest. Could be possible. I don't know. It's a fucking mess of a video game either way. It doesn't stop running immediately. It takes a second longer and then doesn't do anything. So yeah, we're not playing Kingdom Hearts today. Oh wait, that screen is actually smart. Start 2 exe files to cover up the black screen if nothing loading and showing loading. I guess so, but the fact that these are all separate exe files to begin with is kind of fucked. Right? Because it's not like you can just download one of them separately. That would be kind of nice. But when you download them, you just download the entire collection. And it just has a bunch of exe files in it. I personally don't see a reason why that couldn't just all be one executable. Anyway, so we're not going to be playing any like comparative game today. Does make me wonder. Does this... Yeah, that also doesn't do shit, of course it doesn't. I'm gonna give it, like, now that I've got a clean restart, I'm gonna try DS for Windows one more time. Check if there's any updates. Nope. Just isn't recognizing the controller like at all. Maybe if I plug in the Pro controller, it'll recognize something. Like if I just had a DualSense 5, that would probably... Okay, so recognize the Switch Pro controller. And this doesn't actually freak out. Like, its sensitivity is way the fuck... Like, what the hell is this, right? But the controller seems to work. At least when it runs through DS for Windows. So, we have a little hope left in the universe. If we now open this... yeah, if we now open this, and we open this, we might not be fucked. I don't know why that would make a difference, but let's check it out. It'll have taken an hour, But we'll be there. To be fair, we need like 10 to 15 minutes after restarting the stream for people to like flow back in anyway. It recognized the input. It's quite sensitive. We can probably change the sensitivity in the settings there. I think we're good. I don't know why this makes a difference. But apparently it does. It's probably something to do with the dead zones in the controller itself. Windows itself probably doesn't have any dead zones, and PS4 Windows probably has like some amount of dead zone. There might be a little bit of like stickiness to these buttons, which means that they're always being pressed when Windows looks at it. If you route it through DS4 Windows, I assume that it has like a little bit of like a dead zone to prevent that kind of stuff. And that might be the reason that this is now working. That's my theory, anyway. And I assume that Kingdom Hearts is better programmed than my game, and Clamps... Wait, why does it... Oh, great! The left analog stick is also mapped to the D-pad. What the fuck, Chicken Diddle?
I can do this.
We can fix that. We can just simply fix that through here, right? So if we go over to left analog stick, I think for some reason that's bound to the D-pad. Maybe? I don't know. That circular UI needs a delay out to the viewport, and yeah, that's not really relevant right now though. That does need a lot more work to begin with. Like the little like experience counter isn't even centered. I think that's a little bit more important than its timing on when it like. It's not even that it needs to exist or not exist. It just needs a different Z order. So this is the D-pad. Can I just like say, hey, I want controller readings? So, oh, it actually, oh, that might have been, it has gyro. Can I disable the gyro, please? Because that, is the gyro also doing, no, the gyro doesn't actually do anything. Okay, so first and foremost, the sensitivity is fucked. My frame rate is as well, but we'll look into that in a moment. And the fact that the left stick also fires the D-pad. That's the thing that I'm worried about the most. Can we like just cancel out of this, please? We'll get there. I don't know if we're going to be doing much on stream today. I'm going to be real with you. I don't know why I called this Xbox. How can this be mapped to two things? Because it still does do the left analog stick thing, right? So this is left stick input. It still reads that as left stick input. It just also reads it as a left D-pad input for some reason. Okay, now that we're here anyway, access configuration, we need the right stick to be less sensitive. Do we have L2, R2, 6-axis acceleration? I guess we can just say this should be like 0.2. I probably need a point and not a, yeah, not a comma. So if we just set both of these to 0.2, so that immediately doesn't really do much. Do we need to set the max to that as well? Now that's going to fall within the dead zone actually, so no. What the hell? We have a preset? Preset gamepad, let's see. Hold on, we have just presets. Let's just say gamepad preset. Does that fix it? Not really. Change controller. No. No. I will not be doing that. Because it's the only controller that's picking up. So... is there anything else that we can, like, edit about this? Yeah, then we get all that, right? So... I think we are back to... We're not going to be playing any Kingdom Hearts today. And I think we're also rapidly approaching... We're not actually going to be having anything done today, which is fucked. I don't quite understand what... Okay, so this is select action for Y, left Y axis. I don't know why it does that. It seems to not understand that those are two different things, but it definitely understands that those are two different things, because, no, actually, it does both. It actually doesn't understand that these are two different things. Let me try to see if anybody else on Google has an issue, and a fix. That's the word I'm looking for. DS for Windows, Switch, Pro, left stick, D-pad. Yeah, left joystick triggers D-pad input. Thank you. Your controllers are probably mapped in the wrong profile. If you know it, yeah, so that doesn't help. I have a similar problem with Joy-Cons. For anyone having this problem, if you have Steam open, I don't. Oh, hold on, I might. Do I have Steam open? I do. Is that the thing that's fucking me? Oh, thing is, okay, so, yeah. I think what might be happening is that two things are competing now. Hold on. Because Epic is still open through Steam, which might be trying to, like, influence this as well. So I'm now shutting down Steam so that it doesn't, like, interrupt my game inputs. And then we open up Epic Games Launcher again, this time not through Steam. Not Unreal Engine, I just want my library. I'm still not a huge fan of how, like, games and Unreal Engine are within the same launcher. I get that they want to, like, have people try out Unreal Engine and see just how much not frustration game development is. Today's frustration has nothing to do with game development. At least not my game development. Other people's game development, maybe, but not mine. Okay, so that's weird, because now it's fucking up again. So, Steam did actually help solve an issue, because now it's doing this again. We're getting closer to a solution. We'll be able to play this game in a moment. Maybe. I just need to go back into my Steam settings and disable some things that I just enabled, I think. So if we go into my controller settings and I say, hey, PlayStation controller support is not enabled, and I also enabled it for Steam, for Switch Pro controllers. That's probably the thing that fucked it. So if I just say, hey, Steam, only accept Xbox controllers, pretty much. And then I have DS4 Windows running. Cool, I do. And then I run Epic Games, hold on, through Steam. And then I run Kingdom Hearts through that. I don't know if this is going to do anything. At this point, I'm just doing things that randomly seem to make sense. But like a lot of the weird-ass input conflicts seem to be to do with something somewhere. So it's still doing that shit. Why? Why is it doing that? Let's get rid of DS4 Windows again. Just entirely. Just disconnect. Realistically, it shouldn't see any input now, because Steam is ignoring Switch and generic input devices. Never mind. I have no ID. I have no ID. The reason that I'm weirded the fuck out is if I just go into my own game here, this works. Even without DS4 Windows, it's way too fucking sensitive, admittedly. The button map things are fucked. But it doesn't do anything, like, overly weird. Anyway. We'll just play the game. And try to, like, fix some other issues. I don't know what we're going to do otherwise, because this is... man. So let's go through just one thing at a time and fix those issues. So none of that. And then we had an issue in the combat thing where some of the enemies didn't seem to spawn. So why would that be? So yeah, in wave 2, it only activates the healing lantern for some reason. Which means that wave 3 never spawns because these guys... Oh, because there's the ghosts and they are kind of fucked in their stuff. That's right. And what I mean with that, because that doesn't make any sense, is that I try to play around a little bit with their animations. Because their scale is a little weird. So some of their animations I played around with a little bit. And I think I enabled like root motion for some of them and not for others. Yeah, so use normalized root motion scale is turned off for some of these. I think that's the issue, right? Actually, let's just check out a different characters' animations. Why are they not in here? Those are both animated in engine, so are they in here? Actually, what we can probably do is... Good question. So enemies, characters, ground. Where's the demon? Oh, there we go. If we just open up your animation blueprints, we also, like, yeah, get all your animations. That's what I needed to have. So what is your root motion? Yeah, so you use normalized root motion scale. So I turned that off in some of these. Can I just like update all of them at once? Probably not. So I need to just go through, I think, and set all these to use that again. And not have enable root motion itself enabled. I think is an important part to all that too. So I think that might fix it. We also just generally need to have these guys be like smaller to begin with. I don't know what I did with their... That's also why I couldn't hit him. Okay. I messed a lot with these guys, and like I don't even know, like in here they seem good. Like why are these ones fucked? What? That's not the one, it's this one. So if I just import this, yeah, so this one works. So these are just kind of messed up. So let's just remove these. Yeah, I know that'll break. Yeah, I know. Yes, I know. Yes, I know. We're just going to like put 4 new ones in instead. And then one over here. And then I'll just put these. Then I'll just put these into... Why not? Okay. Why don't you work? Can I drag and drop them like that? Still no. Can I select these? Why does it clear them out to nothing? What the fuck? Oh, because they're in the persistent. You see, all that controller stuff's kind of like thrown me off, and now I'm just an idiot, even more than usual. That is, they need to be in the same level. Yeah, selected object isn't in the same level. Kind of annoying that it can't take things from the persistent level though. But it makes a certain amount of sense on like a purely object related basis that it wouldn't be able to do that. But if you have a streaming level within a persistent level, like there shouldn't ever be a scenario where you're trying to load something in from a streaming level that exists in the persistent level. And it not be available due to like loading related reasons. That I can think of anyway. Aside from it being destroyed in the persistent level, but that holds true for any object, right? If you make a reference to it and it's destroyed before you access it, that's why you do like is valid checks or like null checks to begin with. No, I don't get why you're selecting them all by hand. So why I'm selecting them all by hand is because I want to place them. I don't want to just spawn them in. I want to place them in beforehand, and then what this does is this spawner. Like all of these are going to be invisible. They have a bool on them somewhere. It's not a great system, but it works. A bool on them is called like start active or something like that. Yes, yep. So start active, that's disabled by default. So that just disables their collision, their mesh, and their AI. And all that the spawner itself does, it's not really a spawner, it just enables those things. So it enables the things based on these waves. And then whenever one of those things dies, it sends a delegate message back to the spawner to subtract one from the array, and when the array is empty, it just enables the next wave. That way, I can just place, and again, ignore these cameras, that's just like for testing purposes. I'm going to need to improve that system. But that way I can just put down these enemies in the exact place that I want them to spawn in, rather than them just always spawning in somewhere random, or me having to like hard code in their spawn location through like a delta location, which is even more bothersome. So that's the reason that works that way. Kind of wish that I could add multiple actors at once to an array like that though, but it doesn't quite work that way, sadly. Let's see. So we have this bullshit. There we go. Also need to update a lot of my visual effects now that I'm like leaning a little bit more into that. It's also probably quite loud, isn't it? Well, not that bad. It's also a little bit more mindless now that I figured, hey, let's not do too Soulsy, because I don't much enjoy Souls games. Well, I do to a degree, just not a very high degree. Oh yeah, click through this. So you see that there's none of them there. We have this little cutscene, and then when I approach, like the first one spawn in, they're supposed to have a spawn in like animation in the material, and eventually also particles, maybe? I don't know. For the moment though, they just appear. And then when all of these are dead, it just enables the next wave. It's good enough because it only is going to appear in a couple of places throughout the game. For the most part, the enemies are just placed in levels to begin with. They don't get spawned in. This is only for wave-based combat. Okay, and now it works. The ghosts are way too big. They're supposed to be like a little bigger than you, and not massive. But this is the issue where I ran in to some trouble. First and foremost, you need to go fuck yourself. Is that they have that same like red particle system when they do their revenge attack, but for some reason it scales up massively and you don't actually see it. And that's got something to do with the fact that their mesh is like you see that part, but not the like little ribbons around them. And it's got something to do with the fact that the mesh, when I made it in Blender, was huge and I scaled it down, but for some reason that's also kind of messing with the particle system, because that is still playing in world space, but it's scaled up instead. I don't really understand why. I'm being just 100% honest. I have no idea what actually is going on there. That's something that I need to figure out. Now we spawn this wave, which actually is a good test to see whether or not the key spawning works again, because those flying guys, their AI is fucked. Don't know what happened there. Surely I fucked something up at some point. We'll look into that in a moment. Why did you do that twice in a row? I don't know. Okay, again, these guys are supposed to fly around and ever so often like shoot at you. They don't do that at the moment. And this is supposed to be a little bit faster and a little bit more accurate, but it's also just like not. But the key spawns when all of them die, so that's good. Let's pick up the experience. And well, we don't actually need to save anything. Okay, so this guy over here should still be fucked, right? No, he's also fixed, I think. I think he's also fixed. Huh. Spin to assert dominance. Yeah. So yeah, basically the reason that I use this system instead of just spawning in actors on the fly is because I want to control where they spawn in. That's effectively the only reason. This guy still has a small hitbox for some reason. Let's ignore him. Oh yeah, and this guy's attack doesn't actually have visuals yet for some reason. That particle system seems to have broken. I don't know why. I mean, I'm unlikely to significantly change the system, but I'm always interested to hear other perspectives, if nothing else, for future reference. Ignoring guys with a small hitbox is body shaming. He's not a guy, he's a ghost. That's key number 2. And then if we go into here, we'll see that we have 2 of the keyholes lit up, I think. Yeah, we do. And then we only need to have the... So another way that I could do it is I could have like target location actors set and have... instead of being being an array, I could make it a map saying, hey, this actor class will spawn in at this location. But that effectively... Like, that effectively would do the same thing as far as, like, workflow goes. And be less visually clear for me while, like, designing the levels as to what the different ratios of the enemies are in, like, the entire wave. Or the entire challenge, rather. That's one other thing that I was thinking about. I could do it that way. But I don't necessarily think that that would have been better. But if you've got any, like, even other ideas, definitely don't want the player controller to still be active there. But if you've got any other ideas, I'm happy to hear them. Or again, I can give all of them like a delta offset in the form of like a vector, of course, but... Remember this from last week? Yeah, so this is only for like wave... I'll show you after we've done this bit. I'll make a save game. This shouldn't take too long. I think I still have him at like low HP for testing purposes. But for the most part, like, enemies don't spawn in through those wave spawners. Yeah, so he gets fucked. Man, this scene needs a lot of work. Obviously. But, like, it's so messy right now. And that camera also, I don't know what that camera does, but it like, I don't know. It's messed up. It's real messed up. So yeah, let me just real quick save here. I think I have a save slot 10. Okay. Then we can exit out of this. So usually, in like 99% of cases, if I like just go into the next dungeon here, which we're going to test in a moment, like these enemies don't spawn in through a spawner. These just exist in the world and they walk about and they just exist and to be fucking murdered. I need to replace every single one of these ghosts. And their start active is enabled by default. So whenever I enter this level, they just will exist. They don't need to be spawned in or activated through a spawner or whatever. And that's by far most of the enemies. So in here as well, like all of these enemies, they're just about. They just exist always. So that's kind of like the default of how I handle enemies. Is this way. I don't know. Something is messing up my frame rate. It's because real time is off again. Fuck off. There we go. I need a better GPU, man. I'm on a 2060. I'm loading way too many levels at once. Let me unload the tutorial area as well. Dungeon. That should improve things a little bit, but not that much. Huh. Okay. Just to be able to navigate. I was afraid that might happen. Yeah, so that's just a GPU crash. That's again, I just need a better GPU. I'm saving up for one. But first I need to like pay off some credit stuff. And then I can save up for a new GPU. And then this won't be an issue anymore. And just to be clear, in the actual game, only one of those rooms is going to be loaded at a time. So this won't be a problem in the actual game. Like, it runs a lot better. What I'm doing is I'm just loading a bunch of shit at the same time in the editor, which is obviously, like, not great. But hopefully you get the point. Oh, sorry, I hit the microphone there. Hopefully you get the point that I was trying to get across, which is, by and large, those enemies aren't being like spawned in through spawners. They just exist in the world. They are active to begin with. And those same enemies sometimes also need to like get enabled in a wave format through one of those spawners. But that's only like a handful of times throughout the game. Every single dungeon has like a combat trial. It takes a while to rebuild, apparently, the project. Every single dungeon has like a combat trial, and some of those, up until now, the two that I have are just like wave-based enemies. I'm also thinking that a couple of them are just going to be like mini bosses, which don't need this mechanic at all because they just kind of exist in there as well. They're just going to be like an easy boss fight or an easier boss fight. So at most, there's going to be like 6 rooms that have this happen this way. And realistically, it's going to be like 4 or 5. Well, no, at most it's going to be 7, and realistically it's 4 or 5, tutorial included. So I don't really feel like redoing anything about it, because I'm only going to need to like tediously pick things out a handful of times. And any other way that I can think of is effectively as tedious anyway. So yeah, that's the entire thing there. So yeah, again, they just kind of like exist and hang out. Now the downside to me reworking their movement behavior, I don't think I need this save pointer anymore actually. It was only for testing purposes, but now we have got a save point over there. All of these guys now also need points of interest, which I'm glad that I went over to make a system that does something like that. But now I need to go through every single enemy in the game and give them points of interest. It'll make their behavior feel a bit more natural though. So effectively what I can do is I can just say, hey, points of interest. What did I call it? Did I not expose it to blueprint? I must have. Unless this guy is not inherited from ground enemy base? No, he is. What the fuck? Okay, let's go back to the other map and see how I did things. This is wrong thing. This one. That's the one I want to look at. Yeah, so we have a... Did I call it walk points or something stupid like that? I'm going to look into this in C++ real quick. Hold on. Ground enemy base header file. Wait, what? Is it just an enemy base? Ah, I changed it. That's true. I changed it. So, okay, the way it works is I no longer have... so I did actually improve this. So what I do now is instead of calling this, like just populating the array directly itself, what I do is I have a tag that I give, and on begin play it just finds every single actor with that tag and assigns it to that array. So what did I call this? Point of interest tag. So we can say point of interest tag for this guy is like walk points. Right, and I think we can update this for multiple at a time. We're about to find out. Because strictly speaking, they all have this value. Except that one, because that's the floor. So now, yeah, now it says multiple values. I guess we also select this one. We don't select the flying ones, and now we just say walk points for all of them. And if I just select a random one, it is walk points. And now I just select all of these points around here as like their potential points of interest. And I give them the tag walk points. And now they all will share those things. But I can also then specifically say, hey, you have walk points 1, for instance, and give these points over here the tag walk points 1 and walk points. So everything can walk to these, but this one can only walk to those. That's the idea. So if I just like give them that actor tag, now they should be able to walk around, which they weren't able to do before, apparently. I didn't even notice. Which actually, does that mean that I forgot to do that for the very first enemy as well? It might. Hold on. This fucking dude. Do you have... yeah, so this one has points of interest tag is Demon 1. And all these ones also have a tag called Demon 1. So it's got a couple of places that it can walk. So this one can actually walk around. Let's test out the rest now. The only downside to having this system, which is rather rudimentary, is that you end up with a situation if 2 enemies can walk to the same point. They will walk to the same point at times, especially if there's a lot of enemies and not that many points. And it'll look a little weird. But that's more like a game design issue. Or a level design issue, rather. Just generate enough points for each individual unique enemy. And don't have them share too many, especially if there's a lot of enemies in a level. Or just have a lot of points if they're going to be shared like that. But now we'll like spawn in 4 enemies in a moment here. And to be fair, there's like 12 points that they can walk to, right? But anyway. So yeah, they'll all start like walking to a random one. There's a little bit of sliding involved with them trying to like navigate around each other sometimes, which is a little annoying. So if I go out of their field of view, they will start walking around randomly again. There we go. Which again, there's a little bit of iffiness with their like animation and the sliding with that, because they also now have like the character movement component avoidance, which doesn't actually like make them face a different way. It just kind of like changes their velocity to go out of the way of an obstacle. But I think by and large that'll be fine. So yeah, these work now. The fuck are you talking about? I don't care. Oh, and that's also the reason that this guy wasn't walking around, because he doesn't have any like patrol locations. Well, I guess that's what we're doing. I'm really happy that I found out that these target points exist. Because they are so nice. They're just empty actors that don't do anything other than having a transform. And they're very easy to sample because of that. So we can just select all 3 of these and make them... They're in a persistent world. They should not be. They should be in... What is this? This is like T hallway, I think it's called, or something like that. 04 hallway. There we go. Actor. We'll call this Shaman. We'll just call it Shaman. It's actually all that it needs to be, I think. Point of interest tag Shaman. And we throw in a couple ones here. Let's make this I don't care about whatever that was. Let's give this one a few more points of interest, because it's quite easy to just give him a bunch of points, right? So we can just say, hey, this still makes him wander around a little bit. Randomly. And this is good enough. But then if we have other scenarios where we want specifically an enemy to move from one place to the next, we can probably like make a different type of EQS that goes through them sequentially. And that kind of makes some more interesting new gameplay opportunities open up for us, I think. All that said, though, I need to reselect all these, which is a little annoying. And we're using these target points now, but we don't necessarily need to only use target points for this. We can use normal as just props and actors in the world, which is really nice. So we'll call this Ghosts. Now we need to select this thing. Come on. This thing. There we go. Also make him walk toward Ghosts. Point of interest tag, Ghosts. Cool, and that's the only other one. This guy doesn't need points of interest because he's a boss fight. It's always going to be, his interest is going to be on the player. And then we get to all the enemies in this dungeon. But I feel like that might be a thing that we just like do next week on stream to have a little bit more fun. And those are going to be a little bit more like there we have to think a bit more about what's going on. So for now, what I want to look at is why this guy's lightning attacks don't seem to be spawning. Well, they spawn, they just don't seem to have visuals. But this certainly has a visual. Do I have a nosebleed? I feel like I have a nosebleed. I don't. I think I do. No. Maybe I just have a bit of a cold. Kind of gross. I'm sorry. So was that particle system just not loaded in? Is that why it wasn't displaying, or is there something else fucky going on? Not entirely sure. Well, first and foremost, you got a... Yeah, okay, so you're still fucked. Don't know what's going on with you. And you're not patrolling. Okay, so that attack worked again. That's kind of nice. It's cool. You are not patrolling, though. Does this do damage? It does. Okay, good to know. Oh, he is patrolling. Never mind. Are you patrolling? You are not patrolling. But you are also, actually, still a fucked up ghost. So let's replace you. And we can just very simply... This is the other nice thing, right? If I just have to remove and re-add an enemy, I don't have to re-add every single one of these points. I can just say, hey, look out for this tag and be done with it. Which is a little easier and friendlier on me as a developer. Realistically, I probably shouldn't do it on begin play. I probably should like bake it in, like just make an editor utility function that gets all enemies in the game and updates their arrays so that it's like pre-baked into the game and you are not set to start active. You should be. Because if we have a level with like 20 enemies in it, all of those enemies iterating over every object to check the gameplay tags, or not the gameplay tags, the actor tags rather, those are different things. That's technically like not great for performance, I guess. Your behavior tree, I don't think, is updated yet. I think that might be the issue. Let's see. You have a BTS out here somewhere. There we go. Yeah, so it's not using the EQS yet. Okay, that makes sense. It's easy enough to update though, because it's literally just run EQS now. And we can just say, hey, run the patrol. And then all that we need to say is set that to patrol location. It simplifies a lot of my behavior related stuff as well. Being able to like do it this way. That's kind of nice. I also, like a while ago, I added those lights on top of these pillars. The more I think about it, the more I think I'm going to remove those. So they're just kind of dumb. Okay, you follow me, that's good. And now you're going to patrol. So you'll just wait for a moment and then you'll move to the next one. Or another one. Except it doesn't seem like you're doing that. Why not? Is it because the is at location? Yeah, is at location is... No, actually, it does seem to be... Okay, no, never mind. Everything works. So yeah, going back to the spawner thing. The other setup for it is right over here, and this is a little bit more dangerous. It's a smaller arena. There's, I think, only 3 waves. And it's not going to spawn all of them at the same time. Don't worry about that. But we have, like, somewhere in here we have that array, right? Right? Somewhere? Yeah, waves. So, oh, it's only 2 waves. So, first we have, like, a bunch of these ghosts, and then the 2 flying golems and the spider. And then for the wave after that, we have another 7, which is 2 of the shamans, another spider, and another bunch of ghosts. But in a much smaller area. And when this wave spawner starts, we have this blocking volume that enables, so you can't actually leave. And when this one ends and it spawns a key, it of course disables the blocking volume again. There's also a thing where the checkpoint within this level, I'm going to move that, I think. Just due to the fact that otherwise, like, resetting this is a pain in the ass. But like for these types of enemies, maybe those need to be separate enemies actually, because I think these ones I would want to patrol randomly. So I think, no, better idea. I've got a better idea. So what we do is this patrol. We generate the points around a context for the enemy patrol location. And we get that out of here. But if the points of interest array length is greater than 0, we do this, right? And otherwise, we just take a random location. So everything will just work if we don't supply it points. So this is true. But otherwise, we want another return node. And we get a, like, get random reachable point in radius. The origin will be get actor location. And the radius, let's set that to, like, fucking 1500 or something like that. There's a fly just walking around. He's walking around because he can't fly because he damages his wing. How do you damage your own fucking wing? At that point, you deserve to die, man. And that'll just be the random patrol location that it goes to. So if I don't supply it with any points to walk to, it'll still randomly patrol. which is for like these kind of enemies, is probably the way that we want to go about it. And for honestly, like quite a lot of enemies. But now we have a system that allows both quite easily. We can either say, hey, specifically go to one of these locations every single time. Or just go randomly across. The only thing that I'm thinking about right now is we probably also... Yeah, so okay. I've one more thing to change about this, and that is that we're going to make this array itself, the points of interest array, we're going to make it added anywhere anyway. Because if we don't want to use the point of interest tag, we can just put in the actors in a particular order into this, which also gives us the opportunity to sequentially go through them rather than randomly. So we'll also make a U property added anywhere, which will be a bool patrol sequential. That's not how you spell sequential, but fuck me, I don't care. And with that, we'll be able to like save everything in here real quick. We'll rebuild. See, we're actually getting some stuff done after all. Let's just close this manually in. We're getting some stuff done after all. I spent like over an hour troubleshooting the Kingdom Hearts stuff, which is annoying, but even without that, we're being productive. And we'll see how we end up fixing the Kingdom Hearts related issue. Like the two options that I have, honestly, are hope that works better with Steam and buy the collection again on Steam, or buy a DualSense 5 and assume that that will work with the Epic Game Store release, which I think that's a safe bet, because I think Windows deals with DualSense a lot better than DualShock 4. And the funny thing is, I think they're about the same amount of money. Right? I don't know. How expensive is Kingdom Hearts on Steam? Is it like full price? I bet it's just like a full price release. Like if it's about $30, it's going to be cheaper to do that. Yeah, it's $50. It's 50 euros.
Peggy 12.
Which is bananas for the like 5th release of these games. So yeah, it's 50 euros for only Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5. If I also want Kingdom Hearts 3, which is also on Steam now, I believe, plus the Remind DLC, that's another 60 euros, and that doesn't even include the 2.8 final chapter prologue either, which is another fucking 60 euros. All of which I have on Epic, I think. I don't think I have 2.8 on Epic, actually. Maybe I do. So yeah, I'm not buying those. Because those prices are insane. But if I just like want to buy a DualSense 5, right? Those are 70 euros. So it's more expensive than one of the games. But if I want to buy at least 2 of the games, which I probably would want to buy 1.5, 2.5, and then also 3. I probably don't want to buy 2.8 again, because one of them is a movie. One of them is a tech demo for Kingdom Hearts 3, at which point, like, if I'm doing this for research purposes, Kingdom Hearts 3 is just a more refined version of that. And then one of them is Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, which is not relevant to what I'm trying to make anyway. And also kind of a broken game in general. So I don't need 2.8. But still, if I want to get everything except 2.8, it will be more expensive than getting a new controller, which is insane, because again, those games are re-releases of a re-release of a remaster from games that are about between 10 and some of them over 20 years old. So I'm not paying like 120 euros for all that. That is fucking insane. Not doing anything like that. The fact that I even bought them again on PC through Epic after having bought them for PlayStation 4, after having bought them for PlayStation 3, after having bought them originally for PlayStation 2 and PSP and DS and whatever, is already way too much. I'm not doing that again on Steam. Like, there's no way in hell. Anyway, so get walk or patrol. Wait, what did I call them? Oh, I didn't make them blueprint readable, did I? Yeah, that's it. Blueprint read only. Well, let's rebuild again. All those monetary problems are easily circumventable by just playing Morrowind. If I'm gonna play Elder Scrolls, I'll play either Skyrim or Oblivion. I've never been much of a Morrowind kind of guy personally. Morrowind is the Elder Scrolls game where I'm like, I feel the age of the game a little too much. It's a little too janky. And not to say that Skyrim isn't janky, but it's like funny janky, where I feel Morrowind personally is frustrating janky. Like the hitboxes in Morrowind are just not quite it. Then again, Skyrim didn't invent vertical horses, I don't think. I think that was a thing probably before Skyrim. But Skyrim definitely like popularized the idea. Like to this day, when you play an open world game and you're like, hey, I have a horse and I walk it the fuck up the edge of a mountain, I personally refer to that as Skyriming a horse. Because that's what I remember about Skyrim. It's the fact that horses are just all-terrain vehicles. So not to say that Skyrim isn't janky. Skyrim is janky as all hell. I think, in a lot of ways, probably Oblivion would be my favorite. I have the most time in Skyrim, though. But that's also because Skyrim has a VR version. And Skyrim in VR, my PC doesn't quite run it with like HD textures and stuff like that, which is too bad. But Skyrim in VR is a lot of fun. Once you get used to like moving around in VR. Like a lot of VR games, like if you play Beat Saber a lot, you stand still, everything comes towards you. If you can get used to walking around in VR inside of a game world, which takes a little bit to get used to, Skyrim is actually just awesome in VR. I'm just sad that my GPU doesn't really let me play it at a good enough frame rate to not get frustrated and or motion sick. Even without the HD textures, it's a little iffy if there's too many things happening. But if I'm gonna do that, it doesn't look good enough without the HD texture. So I really need the HD patch. So that's another reason that I want a better GPU. But for that, I also need more play space because my living space is a little too small for that. Anyway, all that, get walk, get patrol sequential. If that is false, we do all that. Actually, no, let's check that after this. So what we'll do first is we'll check whether or not there's any patrol points to begin with, and then we'll decide whether or not we do them sequentially or randomly. So if that's true, and if patrol sequential is false, we take out a random one. And if that's true, we return node what we do is we do another get actualization, and now we need to have a counter as well. Okay, there's a little bit more involved than I thought there for a moment, but we can just get a copy. Doesn't need to be a reference of that. I'm going to kill that chicken at some point in my life. Mark my words. I don't know if you can hear the chicken in the background. It's really annoying. Because it does that all day. Well, all morning and then all like afternoon to evening. Sun up and sun down, right? Roosters and stuff. So yeah, we need a another U property here. I'm going to spend some time cleaning up some of these classes and organizing them a little bit better. We'll do this as a blueprint read write, and this will be a it doesn't need to be a uint. Yeah, uint is better, so let's do uint 32. It doesn't really matter. Like, actually, we probably could get away with like a uint 8 because we only need to count up like a number of things. So fuck it, let's go with a uint 8. Like, what is an 8-bit integer? It's like up to 64, right? It should be enough. I'm never gonna have more than 64 fucking patrol points. And this is easy enough to upgrade anyway. So, patrol counter. Let's initialize that to 0 just to be sure. Same here. Let's initialize that to false just to be sure. And we rebuild. So yeah, once we have all this in place, we won't have done a lot today because I wasted a lot of time, but I'm also going to end the stream pretty soon. There won't be a stream on Thursday because I won't be home on Thursday or Friday. For the most part, I'll be home like a little bit, but probably not enough, and not in a like a good enough energy level to be streaming. So I won't be streaming on Thursday. I'll be back then on next Tuesday to probably just pick up where we left off here, and maybe we'll have a functioning fucking Kingdom Hearts experience. I don't know. It depends on whether or not I buy the like DualSense controller right now, or if I'm going to wait a couple of weeks. Kind of depends on like a couple of clients paying invoices or not, to be honest with you. Like if they pay very quickly, I'll get myself a DualSense 5 very quickly. If they take the sweet time, it might be a week or two before I buy the controller. But if I'm going to try another stream of comparing my gameplay feel to Kingdom Hearts, I will make sure that Kingdom Hearts works before starting the stream so that we don't waste that time again. Because I'm a little annoyed at myself for wasting so much like valuable development time on stream today. Anyway, we'll get the patrol counter, and that needs to be then, I guess, implicitly cast to a integer from a, I guess it sees that as a byte. Sure. Yeah. Oh, actually, can we increment that? Ooh, that's a good question. It's a little annoying that we can't increment that way. It doesn't matter. We get that. Store that in a local variable. It can just be a variable because there's an object that gets destroyed anyway after running. We'll return a new variable, and the reason that we do that is so that after we set this variable value, we can set the patrol. Oh, I called it patrol. Set patrol counter to a value of itself +1. Maybe I should just make this an integer to begin with. This feels like something that could fuck up otherwise. We can always change this around. So yeah, the reason that I do that is because now we can increase this. If this was just right into these nodes, it would increase it and then like backtrack through these nodes to get the value of it. Which I guess is fine. Actually, no, it's not. Because we need to do some more stuff here. Because we need to check if this is now... if that's less than... no, length. Yeah, less than. We'll do it other way around. So if that +1 is less than the length. Hold on, length is... if the length is for the last index is actually like 3, right? So say that this is 2 + 1. Say this is like 5. Try to increase it. I think we want to compare it to this. Right. Man, my brain's shutting off. Yeah, so what we want to check is it's the current patrol counter less than the length. So if the patrol counter is 5 and the length is... which means that we're getting index number 5. And the length is 6. That means that we're at the last index. So we do want to check this. Because what we want to check is if we have our current... yeah, so our current counter +1 will match up with the length. And this is not less than or equal. This is just less than. So if we do that, we can set the... okay, it takes a moment here, but set patrol counter. We might need to revisit this at some point. If this... oh, we need 2 of those anyway. We can make this a little neater. So then we can just set this to that value, right? So we can... like if that is less than... this is true. We do that check here. And if it's not less than, we set it back to 0 to loop around, and we also return through there. Okay, that took me way too long, but that should... fuck is your problem? Maybe I'll just make this a... replace existing input connections at byte plus bytes. What the fuck is your problem? New var is read-only and cannot be set... what? Why is it read-only? I thought I was being clever with this being a uint 8. It's just going to be a fucking integer and you can stick that uint 8 with a sundown shine. Because Unreal will be able to like deal with it a little bit better and not have to fucking convert things from integers to bytes to integers to fucking, I don't know. By the way, if you like the IDE that I'm using, there's a link down below in the description for 3 months free on Rider. Well, there's a link and a promo code. Just in case anybody was watching there and was like, hey, I like the fact that this has no blueprint usages. What is this? It's implemented within Unreal? That's kind of cool. Yes, it is. It's really kind of cool, isn't it? The fact that it takes so long to load has nothing to do with the IDE. That's just my project being massive and the default map literally loading in everything. Which is probably something that I should fix. I think just setting up a different default map will make it much faster to load in, especially if I'm just like doing stuff like this and not actually like playtesting anything. I think that'll be a little better. So yeah, we have this get patrol counter now. So we don't need to do any of that like conversion bullshit anymore. We can just say, hey, this plus 1. And then now we get this bullshit with it being read-write and stuff. So yeah, I don't know why it thinks that this is read-only. Yeah, it shouldn't be. Just put it in again. Does it think it's read-only? I guess we can just make it as a local variable, see if that makes any difference. Shouldn't, but fucking hell if I know. That works. Well, maybe it's to do with the fact that I was called new var. That'd be kind of weird, but sure. So yeah, that now that's fixed up. So as I said, no stream next Thursday. So the day after tomorrow, no stream. Next week we'll be back on Tuesday, same day, same channel. Hopefully less messy. And we'll, I suppose, test out if this actually works. It should, but then again, everything that you do should work, and half the time it doesn't, because that's just how life is. Thanks everybody for joining in, for hanging out, and for dealing with my computer rebooting without double checking and asking me for permission to do that. That was fun. And I'll be back next time. So see ya.